Welcome, everyone. I'm Tracy Fitzpatrick, and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you so much for joining us here at Netcom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions.
We are very excited to host today's event, Microsoft Azure AI Studio Masterclass. Presenting today's topic is Dwayne Natwick. Dwayne is a Microsoft certified trainer who is a visionary and results-oriented leader with extensive experience managing the full lifecycle of cyber cloud security and IT products and services, including sales and marketing.
Please bear in mind that this is an overview of a very robust topic. We offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored to your specific requirements. If you are interested in a further discussion, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at netcomlearning.com. Today's session is also being recorded, so you'll get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours via email. Netcom Learning helps customers build innovative learning organizations by achieving a smarter workforce, adapting to change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We do have 9 practice areas in which we specialize. They encompass people, process, and technology training. Today's presentation is from the Data and AI practice area. Netcom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio of courses for the topic being covered today. Our upcoming classes include various trainings on the given courses. You can also access a variety of marketing assets, such as the free training and blogs, by clicking on the available event handout. These offerings can be found with a simple search on our website at netcomlearning.com.
Today's session will cover insights and practical experience in creating impactful and ethical generative AI applications like Copilot. Using Azure AI Studio, it will cover the life cycle of language model applications, understanding prompt flow components, and the importance of grounding models with RAG. In addition, participants will get guidance on effectively preparing for the AI 3016 and AI 102 certification course and exam in today's session.
And now I would like to give you a quick overview of the logistics before we get started. To begin with, you do have the option to view in full screen by clicking on the full screen button on the right side of the GoToWebinar viewer. Simply hit the escape key to exit the full screen. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters. Feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters here in the questions pane, and we will address them at the end of the session. And to get the best out of today's events, we've included the slides, courses we talk about, and marketing assets in the handouts section of your GoToWebinar viewer. You may refer to them at any time to get a better understanding of today's topic. And we do realize that some of you may have to leave early and want to let you know that as you do leave the session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to take a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience and improve our future sessions for you. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. And now I'd like to pass this over to our trainer to present today's topic.
Hi, Dwayne. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tracy, and hello, everyone that is attending this Masterclass webinar. I am Dwayne Natwick. I am a Microsoft certified trainer. I'm also a community lead for the Microsoft Trainer Program, as well as I am a Microsoft MVP in the area of security. But I do a lot of training in the Azure environment, in the security, compliance and identity area, as well as the AI for Azure AI Studio, as well as Azure Open AI. And this class, this masterclass, is going to give you a good foundational understanding around the Azure AI Studio, which was just recently renamed the Azure AI Foundry Portal. So we're going to talk about the AI Foundry Portal and what's in there, provisioning and managing AI resources, developing language model applications using prompt flow, within Azure OpenAI. Talk a little bit about custom Copilot solutions with retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. And we'll finish up with a very important aspect of utilizing artificial intelligence, and that is ethical development and management. And then I'll finish up with life cycle, the actual, kind of how you build that life cycle. One of the key things around any application that you're building within Azure, within any cloud provider, is the compute resources that you're utilizing, and artificial intelligence and machine learning applications are no different, because they are using an enormous amount of compute power, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Throughout this presentation, we're going to have a combination of slides, as well as we'll jump into the AI Foundry portal and OpenAI Studio environments, and kind of show you some of the technologies and the services. If you want to learn more about Azure AI Foundry, Azure OpenAI, how to, the fundamentals around it. There is Microsoft has an Azure AI Fundamentals course. There are also workshops like the AI 3016, which is developing generative AI applications in the Azure AI portal. And then if you want to get even deeper, there is the AI 102 course that teaches the aspect of designing and implementing AI solutions within Azure, within the Microsoft AI services. So let's jump in to and just give you an introduction to Azure AI Foundry and the Azure AI Foundry portal. So when we talk about the Azure AI Foundry portal, or what was previously known as Azure AI Studio, I'm still getting used to that naming change. Not quite sure what the thought process was around making that change, but ultimately, when you hear the term Azure AI Foundry portal or Azure AI Studio, what we're talking about is the landing page, essentially, and dashboard for all of the Azure AI services, and we'll walk through a lot of these as we go about as we go through this webinar and this training. But what is it that we do within this portal? The portal offers a lot of capabilities, and really it's a self-contained environment for building and working with AI and working with machine learning, and deploying having deployment tools to create your applications, to create various chatbots, to evaluate, to run data models and do data science, to do computer vision, to do natural language processing, or text to speech and language translation. All of those things that are built within the Azure AI services are all within the Azure AI Foundry portal, and it facilitates all of that collaboration, the ability to work together and to build projects and to manage that data as well, which is a key aspect to. And we'll talk more when we talk about ethical use and responsible use of AI, is how we handle and how we manage our data, and making sure that we're not exposing sensitive information and personal identifiable information or personal health information within our AI services are a very important aspect to it all. So that's at its foundation what the Azure AI Foundry portal has within its environment. Like I said, it's self-contained services, and we'll walk through a little bit of that here in a moment. The interface, like I said, it's an intuitive design. So when you go in there, it's very easy to understand what what it is, what you can do within it, and the user experience is very easy and provides simple navigation and ability to work with the various tools very easily. It makes it very efficient to move within different services and try different services. There's various aspects to accessing the resources, testing the resource, and getting an idea through utilizing templates on how each of the services work. So just creating the environment, creating the services gives you this really helpful interface, and for users in a graphical representation to be able to start using the AI services, and which really is a very helpful aspect of the Azure AI Foundry services. Some of the core features and tools in terms of the ability to build and create the infrastructure that you need for doing machine learning models and managing machine learning models. A key aspect to AI is the data and the preparation of the data, the use of sample data to train your models, to be able to supervise how it's going to work. And so these features and tools are built into the Azure AI Foundry Studio. Integrated capabilities to also build and deploy complex AI applications are all built in, again, to the Azure AI Foundry portal. So most of it is, there's a lot of templates, there's a lot of step-by-step tooling that really help you build in there. And anything that's not directly and intuitively already built within the Azure AI Foundry services portal, you can find very easily in Microsoft Learn documentation and training. When we talk about AI, there is a group of common AI workloads, and this is similar to AI in general, not just Azure AI. But when we go in and we look into the Azure AI Foundry portal, you will see all of these workloads as services within Azure. So machine learning, being able to do predictive models, computer vision is ways to use AI to interpret visualizations on cameras, videos, images, and being able to take that information where it can look and see and notice a car in a picture and people in a picture. That's what computer vision does. Natural language processing, we interact on most days with natural language processing. This is looking at this is how the chatbots work. They are taking what we're putting in, whether we're using it in terms of a like Microsoft 365 Copilot or ChatGPT, and we're talking to a bot. Maybe it's our Amazon Echo device or our Nest device in our home. We're going to ask it a question. It is going to come back with a response utilizing natural language processing. And that's, understanding what that is. If we're on a chat bot, we're on a customer service site, and we are typing in information, the chatbots are going to try and understand the sentiment and know whether you're frustrated, know whether you're angry or happy or sad. It's going to make those inferences. It's only as good though as it's been trained to be able to recognize those inferences. One thing that it's not going to have an easy job on is if you are typing in sarcasm, because it is not going to recognize that. It's going to recognize though if you're like answering, putting a statement in place and you're putting an exclamation point at the end of that maybe you are not happy with what is going on. Document intelligence is ways to process data and forms. We've been doing this a lot, for a long time. When we started to connect multifunction, printers and devices, we would scan, we could scan documents and it could do optical character recognition. That optical character recognition, then understanding, fields and forms and being able to populate databases, populate information that we can then use and do and really kind of tie that all into kind of knowledge mining and using chat bots and document intelligence and taking all of that information and being able to knowledge mine and gather and extract important information, and whether it's structured forms with document intelligence or it is taking unstructured data and creating searchable knowledge stores that we can then tie into our chat bots and tie into all of our information and what we're utilizing. When we think about like knowledge mining and things of that nature, think about when you do like a Bing search or something like that, it's doing some level of knowledge mining. So the key thing around all of that and all around, AI as a whole is we've used a lot of these AI workloads in our day-to-day life or in our business for quite a while, right? Optical character recognition, like I said, taking a form and extracting, a customer number and customer address and putting it into our customer database, into our dynamic CRM or our Salesforce.com is nothing new. Same thing with natural language processing. Like I said, we've been using bots and chat bots and things like that within our within customer service sites and within our websites for many years now. It's just the evolution and the continuous ability to better train them through having better tools, having better processing power, like we have with Microsoft Azure to do that. The last one on here, obviously, is the aspect that is first and foremost in everybody's mind, and that's generative AI. Generative AI is not unlike the other workloads of AI, except that it is doing it faster and it's doing it more creatively, where document intelligence, knowledge mining is taking very static information and it's learning how to gather it, learning how to gather it better. Generative AI can then can take that same information and create content out of it. Again, using the natural language, using the images, using code and all of those things. Generative AI is generating that information, and this is where we start getting a lot of that. How are we using our data? How is our data being used? What is our privacy concerns and things of that nature? But this is this is where everything is moving and where AI is accelerating. Just did a webinar yesterday where we were talking about exactly this. But those are things to understand and consider. So what I wanted to do now, before we go into kind of the next topic, was walk through those services and how those look within the Azure environment. And you can see here, I've got Azure AI Foundry here. You can very easily come up here and just type Azure AI, and you can see you got Azure AI Services, you got Azure AI Foundry. You've got different AI services in here. This is the newest icon and obviously the newest area. You can see I have some of the AI Studio, what was called AI Studio, already set up and created in here, or we could just create a new hub, a new project as well within here. If we're doing something specific in terms of building an AI app, this would be doing the project. If we want to do the Azure AI services really falls into the hub, and you can see here you've got the different services here. This is more of a project-based AI service, or we have the hub. And if I go to my Azure AI Studio hub here, and go to my Foundry hub, the first thing it does in this particular situation is ask me to create a project. I don't have a project created, so I'm going to just create a project here, just to set up the Foundry services, so we can dive a little bit deeper and look at these services accordingly. And it's only take a moment or two to create this project. Hopefully, if not, I can bounce back to my other studios here. If I go to this I could go. Let's see if I got a project in this one. Let's go to Foundry here. Nope, let's create another project in there. So I'll just get that going too. There we go. There's my project, has been created. You can see what it does. It creates those services. It's got it gives you a little bit of a walkthrough here. You can explore it and create. Look for your stuff, and then you can close it. This has then the project information here for for the API key, anything that we want to connect. This becomes a very important aspect. It is tied to my subscription, and then I have my hubs and projects in here. If I was to manage my hubs and projects, here's my different hubs here as well. If I come back then and look at my model catalog, here's where I can see the various marketplace areas, marketplace information that I can use. You look at text embedded. You've got lots of tools and models that we can utilize. If I go to Playgrounds, this is where we can work with and get to know the various uses of the AI services. You can see we've got speech playground, we've got assistance program, playground, audio playground, healthcare playground. If I come to AI services here, this is going to be the various different services here and the playgrounds within each of these. If I wanted to go to content safety is a big one, and this is a really nice playground here, because when we talk about ethical AI later on, and we want to make sure that we are building proper content within our application, we can check and moderate and create moderated text content. We can detect and ground our content. We can protect material in our code. The moderate content's really nice because it'll tell what safe content is, and we can set the various levels of what the filters are going to look for. So when we think about when you think about like social media and things like that, certain words get flagged as sensitive content or violent content that might block your post. This is exactly what this would do as well. If I come back, and we can come back to that and do some testing in that a little bit later on. If we want to go to vision and document here, we can look at and do various tests for documents or images, and detecting various information here as well. If I go to detect a face on an image, here we can use a an image here and detect attributes on this sample image. And it says this person has a face mask and the face is covering the nose and mouth. If I pick another image here, it says that they don't have, it's looking for specific attributes here of whether they have a face mask or not. We can work on and change those attributes within this sample as well. This one's taking a little bit of time to come up here. Let's go back to giving me a little bit of problem here. Let's just go back into the detect a face here. And okay, and here's where we can make some adjustments here if we want to, this particular detecting the faces on the image is looking specifically at whether they have a mask or not a mask. We can come in here, we can play with this information accordingly to understand whether and change to different attributes if we wanted to as well. We can bring our own pictures and files in here as well. Same things with like receipts and invoices. This can take, we can bring a receipt in here and we can identify fields and get results. And a nice thing about it again is we can work within this playground, play with the JSON code and make adjustments to it to get the fields and the answers that we want it to have, and then we can use that code in our actual AI applications. So lots of things that you can do and that are helpful within the AI Studio. Again, you got content safety. You've got some things around what's new in terms of document translation, extracting personal identifiable information. This is a nice one here where we have the ability to extract and redact personal identifiable information within conversations and within texts to make sure that we are protecting the privacy of our users. We have ability here to build code, and we'll talk. Here's the RAG sample in here, which we'll talk more later. Getting started with Azure AI. This takes you right to a GitHub repository that gives you sample information that you can use and different aspects of code, and you can open it and work in it and develop right in code spaces. So very helpful and intuitive intuitive source for building various models. And like I said, getting to learn and understand about the Azure AI services. Let's jump now into talking about some more about provisioning and managing AI resources. We looked at that, and how we can use the playgrounds to build our knowledge and to work within those various services without working within a production environment. This is all templated and sample environments that get us familiar with the Azure AI services within the playground within the GUI interface. But ultimately, what we want to do is we want to be able to create, and we want to be able to create an application and build an application within our own environment, something that's going to work within our organization and do something, deliver deliver a value to our own organization or to our customers that are interacting with us. And a key aspect to start with building our own applications is setting up the AI environment. And as I mentioned earlier on, is is one of the key aspects and one of the things around uh, any kind of AI and machine learning application. The application itself and what it's doing in terms of processing information and learning from that, learning from that information, presenting that information, and then doing what it needs to do to present accurate information is it needs in a lot of cases enormous amounts of compute power, and the one of the reasons why we are seeing more and more use of AI and use of generative AI by enterprises and by organizations of any size, even by personal users, is the accessibility of it all. The fact that we have cloud computing and cloud capabilities, cloud environments that we can harness and we can bring the computing power to be accessible to everybody makes AI much more accessible to everybody. The cloud, using cloud resources allow us to turn on and turn up this large amount of compute power, this large amount of storage, an ability and a repository of large amounts of data that are coming from all of these connected resources. Are allowing us then to build these large language models and these enormous neural networks so that we can harness the benefits and the energy that is needed for artificial intelligence. So having, again, the ability to on demand rather than with a capital expense, create all of these resources. Use the cloud, use the Azure environment to allow us sufficient compute power for handling our AI workloads and optimizing performance, the ability to auto scale as our AI application needs more power becomes very important. And then again, the storage aspect, the storage solutions. How do we take these large data sets, and where do we store these large data sets? How do we use them and segment and properly utilize um, public information at a proper from a proper usage standpoint versus and preventing unauthorized access to private or sensitive information are all aspects we can build that to scale in Azure Cloud and other cloud providers with their storage solutions. Again, having that large amount of compute power, the elasticity of that compute power, and then the large amount of storage volume that we can harness within the cloud are all aspects of why AI is becoming more and more accessible and available to application developers. We don't have to make huge capital investments for these large storage solutions or computer server farms and hard drives and all that nature. Same thing with the network setup. Understanding the data transfer rates and that we have the proper network setup, and again, having that information, having those networks segmented appropriately with proper network access control in place is a very important aspect to responsible AI and managing privacy, so that our AI applications are given the proper role-based permissions to access the proper information that they need, and nothing beyond that to present within the applications that they are supporting. All right. Resource management and optimization, I mentioned a little bit of that, but one of the things that I always make sure to mention in any cloud-based course, any security course, any aspect of having a resilient and available application is to monitor those resources. And you want to monitor those resources for performance, for uptime, but also for proper levels of usage. There's a reason with cloud technologies, you see a lot on social media and a lot of training around what's called FinOps, or financial operations. The reason for that is it's become its own department, essentially, within cloud adoption, because it's important to monitor, and especially the amount of resources that an AI model and an AI application may need could essentially create and cause the capacity and cost to really go beyond beyond organizational budgets. So understanding what that's going to be, being able to make those predictions and optimize those costs appropriately using various monitoring tools. Like Azure Monitor can actually monitor usage and make adjustments to the compute capacity on demand, whether we're scaling up, scaling down, scaling in, scaling out our compute resources. Those are good practices to utilize in terms of maintaining budget and delivering proper outcomes in terms of making sure that things are available as needed within our within our budgets that we have estimated for our applications. And again, scaling and monitoring kind of goes right along with what I was just saying in terms of making sure that we're optimizing appropriately, and what we can do for planning for our use of our AI application. Like I said, we can, and like I was showing before, you can do certain things in the playground to understand what you may need to do in terms of the code that's needed for evaluating and finding information on pictures, and watch how how forms and receipts are read and deployed into, and how we might be able to deploy those and push that information into databases and expense systems and those types of things. But a really key aspect of those performance metrics, as you're testing your applications and you start going towards the level to deploy those applications to production, you need to understand what the demand might be for those resources. What's the demand for growth? What do we need to make sure in terms of being proactive and proactively scaling our AI projects appropriately? And again, how do we estimate that and project that to present that to management? Because if we have said that this AI application is going to cost us $5,000 a month to run, and we put it in production, and all of a sudden right away it's $25,000 a month for for the compute infrastructure because of the demand, we're going to get ourselves into a situation, unless unless somebody's paying as part of the AI application, paying for that compute power. So you want to make sure that you're being proactive, you're evaluating, you're monitoring what's taking place within your environment. Good practice would be as you build an application and you bring it into production, testing it at a certain beta level to get an idea of, with this many users accessing it during this amount of time, this is how much it's going to cost, and then it'll give you an idea of how to scale and how to predict and be proactive in those adjustments. So again, creating resources in Azure AI Foundry. If we looked at the playground, now how do we start to create and utilize our own resources in here? And you can see here we've got the various resources and learning resources in here to be able to to create our code. Here we can build our code. We can create a virtual studio code container. We have our assets. We can deploy a model right in here. So here's the assets. This is where we start to create. We can create our apps, whether we're looking at a web app, doing data and indexing, or just creating a model. I would come in here and I can deploy a fine-tuned model or deploy a based model. Got various service endpoints here. You can see, here's the AI speech. We've got vision. We got document intelligence. These are those core workloads we were saying. But I'm going to come here and if I want to deploy a base model, this shows those various base models, whether we're using, and you can see we looked at those models, and that model catalog is up here in the overview. We can here they are here. So if I want to do a GPT model, a GPT-4.0 model for chat completion, I can do that there, or GPT-4. This is going to give you the ideas, what they are here in terms of what gets deployed here for the GPT-4. Here's the GPT Mini, and you can see a little. The Mini supports text and vision. And if I come back up here to the full blown, this does a little bit more than just text and vision. This does advanced analytics, content innovation. So this is the full blown. Now keep in mind, each of these models are going to have a cost. It's creating the compute resources for that large language modeling, which could be fairly expensive. If I wanted to come back here and cancel out of that from those base models and do a fine-tuned model, here we have a little bit more of ability to customize certain aspects. So if I go to add a fine-tuned model, again, it's got the same aspects here of our resources, but I can fine tune and make some changes to that AI model as well. If I wanted to, here's like where fine tuning details. If I want to customize here, I can customize my resource location. If I want to change the connected AI resources, I can do that here as well. So all different things that we can do in terms of our models. I'm going to go back here. Again, if I pick that same GPT and confirm that, you can see very similar things here. We can do the deployment type in terms of our API. Just to depending on whether it's global or standard. Can see here various provision managed, global provision managed, data zone. I'm not going to go into detail on all of those. You can definitely view Microsoft documentation to find that information out and how to do that. Standard is going to be probably your lowest cost aspect, maybe provision manage might give a little bit of more flexibility, just depending on your needs, though, and the availability and really what the use case is. Your global standard and your global models are going to allow you less latency across, beyond our own environment, right? But if we're just using standard, we're doing it more at a region level. So, and you can see we can set the minimum rate limit in terms of, setting quotas and things like that. We can set the content filtering to default, and create set a dynamic quota to avoid our application shutting down because of a lack of resources that are available to us. So these are kind of the main things in terms of deploying a model to understand. Once the model gets deployed, it will build various service endpoints, and you can see I've got a service connection with this particular project itself, for these AI Studio services connections. If And so those are ultimately our resources. If we want to build data and bring data in and index that data, we can work on creating those indexes for our data indexing. If we're just ingesting information and starting to index that for use with our models, then we can start to get into our the web apps and creating a deployment for our web app with our AI capabilities built into them. So that's kind of the main thing around deploying some of those models and how you create those resources within AI Foundry. Large language models, large language model applications, or what we call LLMs, is the foundation of the artificial intelligence and really the open AI aspect and the generative AI aspect of using Copilots and ChatGPT and Genesis and all of those different AI tools that different vendors and different software creators are creating. And what large language models are doing is using prompts and using prompt flow and understanding that and understanding how that works. Is an important aspect of information here. So it's various elements. This is how the language models interact with our data, and they're crucial in terms of how we design those effective AI applications. If we are not understanding how somebody may ask information, we're not going to be able to present the same information. So again, as I say with artificial intelligence and AI applications and chatbots and any information that you're trying to gather from an application that is running AI, it's only as good as how it's trained. And the humans are the ones that are training it in most cases. There is some unsupervised training that AI applications go through, but ultimately, at the end of the day, the base code, the base algorithms, and the base mathematics that it's using to take the input and present an output is ultimately going to be designed by the humans. And the better that we train our applications, the better the output's going to be. If we don't tell it semantics or give it any kind of information about communication differences, maybe idioms and jargon and things of that nature in the prompt recognition, then the then the information that it comes back with that it returns is going to be inaccurate. There's a lot of words that my 15-year-old uses that is not the same words that I use in a lot of ways. When I say something is marginal or it's just okay, that's those same words out of my son's mouth is that was mid. And it's the same thing that we're teaching our applications. We're teaching our we're teaching these AI prompts, the prompt flow, to be able to understand some of that. And if it doesn't understand some of that, do we put to put responses in that say, I don't understand that. If you've utilized Microsoft Copilot for any type of creation of of a document, or start creating an outline for for a report or something like that, and you prompt it with these bullets, and if it doesn't understand a certain bullet, sometimes it'll say, here's a good start. I can only go so far in this information. Where please ask me another question if you want, if you need more information, or I'm not programmed to go, to give this amount of information and things like that. So those are all aspects to understanding the prompt flows, understanding those components. What is that information that we're trying to get? And a key aspect to prompt engineering and prompt flows and prompt discussions with AI applications is understanding what the end result is. What is it? And so, when us as users of these applications are working towards towards a better tool and a better and gaining better information, we need to ask better questions sometimes too. It's no different than if you're talking to a friend or your partner, and you have a perspective of what that answer is going to be to your question. You've got some sort of preconceived idea of what that's going to look like. However, when you ask that question, they have a different perspective to it too. So, and we'll talk more when we talk about ethics and responsible AI around that that inherent bias that we have as individuals that influence the various AI tools. Understanding the model behavior is a key to creating those effective prompts. We, again, kind of just what I was saying, if we want desired outcomes in our questions, the AI application must be able to interpret what we're saying to some degree, and so we've also got to understand what they are saying also. So or how they might interpret it. Think about it from a standpoint, in some ways, of when you're talking to somebody that speaks another language. This artificial intelligence speaks another language. They ultimately speak in zeros and ones, and they're trying to translate what we say into their zeros and ones, so that then they can translate it back to us and with the information that we need in the language that we understand. So we need to understand. We need to take that in our way of creating those effective prompts, and be even make sure that maybe we're iterative in refining those, and iterative in making sure that maybe we ask little snippets at a time, rather than giving one big paragraph of information to the AI model, or to the Copilot. Those are all aspects of what we need to consider and need to cover. Again, if you've used Microsoft Copilot, or you use ChatGPT maybe in a Bing search or something like that. That's exactly how it works. You'll take and give it some level of information. If you give it too much information, I can only go so far, and those are various aspects and various limitations that we have with some of these models. Again, depending on how it's built, what the compute power is to it, also has levels of why that information can't be presented uh, at that time. There's limitations, like when you're using Copilot in the Edge browser. There's only a certain amount of questions you can ask it before it says, come back in an hour. Because the free use of Copilot has preset limitations to it. Okay, let's take a quick break, and we will be back shortly.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. Before we head over for the break, let me quickly take some time to allow all of us to complete the redemption process, right? So I hope my screen is visible and you can hear me clearly. My name is Sagnik, and I'm the product marketing manager for Microsoft here at Netcom Learning. And I'm excited to announce to all of you that all the participants today have been given exclusive complimentary access to the official courseware on two of the top AI related courses on Microsoft, right? The AI 3016, which is developing Gen AI apps in Azure AI Foundry portal, which used to be Azure AI Studio, and the AI 102, which is designing and implementing Azure AI solutions, right? So we would be getting access to the courseware, but also the digital achievement trophies and badges from Microsoft that you can share on your social networks, on your LinkedIn profiles, and showcase to the world and your peers that, hey, you are actively growing your skills when it comes to AI and Microsoft Azure solutions, right? So it's very exciting and it's a very simple process. I'd request everyone to follow along. So the very first step for you to do is quickly load up this landing page on your screen, right? So the link to it is available on the chat of your GoToWebinar window. So please refer to that, open that link on your mobile or personal, computers, and we will be continuing from there. So the very first step, requesting everyone, I'm going to take pause a little for everyone to come here, and then we are going to be proceeding. The link is available in your GoToWebinar chat window. And just as a reminder, in case you're facing in difficulties or you're not available right now to complete the process, you can always complete this redemption at the end after the session, at the end of the session as well. The link will be available in your event handouts as well. So you just simply need to load up this link on your PC or your mobile and continue using these steps that we are going to be covering. All right, I'm hoping that we all are on this page right now. So let's quickly look at the steps that we need to follow, right? So the very first step is you scroll down and you see that here it is very clearly mentioned that you'd be getting access to the courseware on these two courses and the associated digital trophies and badges from Microsoft, right? So you are going to see these two buttons over here, right? This says redeem your AI 3016 and then another one saying redeem your AI 102. So you can look at the codes that are here, understand these are the coursewares and the badges that you'd be going ahead with the redemption of, right? Now, how to exactly complete the redemption, right? So once you click on these badge redemption links, right? Courseware and badge links, you'd be getting a window like this. So as you click on this, a new window is going to open on your browser. and you'd be redirected to Microsoft Learn. Now, at this step, you need to sign into your Microsoft Learn account. In case you don't have an existing Microsoft Learn account, you can quickly create one in just a matter of a minute or two, either by using your existing email IDs, or if you just want to create a brand new email ID as well, a Microsoft account ID, you can also choose to do the same. But we highly recommend, it's a very easy process. You should use an account, an email account that you have access to, right? And you will continue to have access to, because all of these credentials, the badges that you collect, they are part of your transcript that remains with you a lifelong, right? And these are digitally shareable as well. So as you can see on the screen, if you already have a Microsoft Learn account, or if you have a Microsoft account, you would be prompted to either register if you are logging in for the first time, or if you already have an account, it's going to simply open up your account. It's going to request you to log in. Now, once you're logged in, you'd be looking at step number 2. But in case you see this prompt, you see this dialog, you already use the existing credentials, or you go ahead with quickly creating one using this highlighted option, right? No account, create one. You click on that prompt, it's going to redirect you to the account creation steps. It's very easy. It's going to take 1 or 2 minutes and you're done with it. Now, once you are done with your account creation or the account sign in, you're going to see this dialog loading up, right? Which says redeem your code, and you're going to get a pre-populated unique code, appearing on that, which is not editable. So that's your unique code that is automatically generated. You don't need to edit that code in any way. You simply need to click on the button redeem. So this is step number 2, right? In a nutshell, it's very simple. So once you're done with the signing in, once you're done with the account creation, automatically you'll be redirected to this page, right? Now, once you click on this redeem button, it's going to process for a couple of seconds, and you're going to see this particular prompt with the green check mark saying we have added your achievements to your profile. So that's as simple as it is, right? So you need to repeat this process 2 times, once for each of these coursewares and badges, right? So once for AI 3016, another one time for AI 102, and you get access to the courseware and the badges on the same, which are in alignment to today's masterclass topic, right? So that's the process. I hope everyone was able to follow along. In case you are getting stuck, in case you are having any queries, you can feel free to leverage our chat window to post your questions, to post your queries, and we would make sure to address all of those and support you in completing this process successfully, right? Another thing is, as you are redeeming this, right, it shows you this dialog. You can quickly navigate to the training tab on your Microsoft Learn profile dashboard to access all the training materials. And you can also share your accomplishments, as I mentioned in the beginning, directly to your LinkedIn profile. And as you are doing that, don't forget to tag Netcom Learning and Microsoft on your posts for maximum visibility and reach. So with that, I'd like to uh, request everyone to go ahead with your breaks, right? We'll be coming back soon and resuming with the rest of the session, and Darren is going to continue with the second half of this masterclass. But we really encourage everyone to complete these redemption process within this break time and post your queries if you face any challenges. Thank you so much.
Sure, we are now going to take a 5-minute break, but before we do that, we are going to launch a quick poll that we want to invite you to participate in. Doing so helps us know how we can better serve you by telling us who might be interested in more information or in taking some additional training. In addition, we have a lot more informative webinars coming up, so please go to netcomlearning.com/webinars in order to register.
Hello, welcome back, everyone. Testing our models. Again, kind of going back to monitoring that performance, understanding what our performance needs are, what our budgetary needs, budgetary costs and parameters are all going to be very important as well. So test those parameters, test those models, test that performance. You don't want to, just like any other application, you don't want an application for your that you're trying to drive AI use within your website to falter and fail, because that's going to be negative against you. Think about how many of our chatbots on websites have generally started to be, had been used and have been used for, upwards of 5 years in a lot of cases, of going to a chat, maybe for your internet service provider, because your service is out, or you want to try and get a lower cost bill, and you start chatting with the chatbot, which is an AI bot. No hiding that, and it's presenting wrong information to you. If it presents that wrong information to you, or it doesn't recognize what you're saying, and then doesn't give you the opportunity to interact with a human being, that's a bad customer service experience. And I myself have had my personal challenges sometimes with those types of chatbots, or with the voice-based AI in auto attendants, and working through auto attendant menus when calling the phone company, or the cable TV company, or your internet company, or your cellular company, and things like that. Those give you bad experiences, and we want to make sure that those experiences are positive, or as positive as they could be. If your service is down, then it's probably a negative experience regardless. OpenAI services, again, we, in terms of some of those model deployments, in terms of prompt flows, we can create these iterative orchestrated flows here, by going to create standard Q&A and things of that nature. Here's using GPT function. We can view some details here in terms of various examples using large language model tools and Python tools. Creates a parameter for chat completion. Big use here. Classification accuracy, Q&As. Again, standard flows, in terms of large language models. Evaluation flows. So you measure how well that output goes. If I want to create that chat flow, I can create a folder name here for my prompt flow, and I can create that right within my Azure AI Foundry Studio. So one of the things around this, and just kind of give you a little bit more information around what these services are and how these services have evolved, is if we go to Azure OpenAI here, and got my service here for OpenAI, and you can see this is goes into the Foundry portal, just like it did before, and puts me right into the chat playground. So and so you can see some various different. This playground looks a little bit different here, because you can see it's created a path to the Azure OpenAI services. I had created, since I had already created an Azure OpenAI service, it took me right into it. So a little bit different playground here, if you look at it, because we've got the chat, we've got images, we've got completions in here. If I want to create an image, create an image of a dragon. Actually, let me see, of a lion playing football in Detroit. I'm in Michigan, and big football game this weekend, right? So let's see what it generates here in terms of my line playing football in Detroit. And this is a nice playground here, so we can play with Dolly, and we can change these images. We can generate a new image if we want to see what see the various aspects of here. Now you can see, this is a little bit more realistic. There's the little bit of a Detroit skyline there. Let me see, let me try a realistic image. Let's try a little bit different there in terms of my prompt, and be a little less cartoony. There you go. There's a realistic lion. It's looking more like the Coliseum there than Detroit, but yeah, there you go. They've all got footballs in their hand and all of that. So, so again, more playground aspects of things. If we want to work with, like chat assistants and see how we can work and create an assistant API, or if we just want to do chatting and see how chats work. A key thing also with the chat playground, and what you might want to do in terms of a chatbot is a chatbot. You might want the information presented to be guided by information of your company, and travel agent, recipe creation. These are some of the samples in here. Or if you have brochures of your own company, you can add that data into here, and that's going to influence the response of the chatbot. So again, these services, again, we've got tools in here in terms of fine tuning and training data. Here's our OpenAI. You can see evaluation not supported for this account. That's more my tenant than anything else. Creating batch jobs. You can see safety and security, another aspect in here, creating that content filter. We had that playground that we looked at, that's the safety, the content safety portal. That's where we can kind of get some ideas of how we want to filter our content. That's in here again, data files. So a little bit similar to our playground here, but you can see the little bit different look from an OpenAI services versus the Azure AI Foundry. The evolution of this playground, of these dashboards, these portals, is one that for a long time, a couple years, when OpenAI first came out and Azure OpenAI became part of Azure, it was its own area. They were completely separate. Azure AI Studio and Azure OpenAI Studio were two separate two separate areas. About spring of 2024, they brought them together. Did a lot to create some issues in lab environments when teaching AI courses for a little while, because the pointers all changed, and it created some issues. But what Microsoft was doing and how Microsoft was going about this was, it was recognizing that that this was all coming together, right? We're using AI services, machine learning, and things like that within OpenAI and within our chatbots and all those things. It's just, we want to, we're being more creative with the generative AI tools. Allows us to fine tune our models for OpenAI, as well as if we're building applications within just the standard AI services of computer vision and natural language processing and things of that nature. So that's OpenAI. Like I said, if you're going into the Azure environment and creating the Azure AI Foundry, you have within Azure AI Foundry the Azure OpenAI as well in those dashboards and those environments. So let's talk about custom Copilot solutions here next, and the aspect of retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. This is so when we talk about RAG, we're talking about the combination of retrieving information and also the aspect of generating and generational techniques of that generative AI aspect of things. So that's the creativity aspect. So we're retrieving information, but then we're being creative about it. So the data retrieval, again, RAG utilizes various data retrieval techniques from various sources, kind of shown where we can put the various data sources in place and utilize those in both the base Azure AI services as well as the OpenAI services, and then it creates those generative models. RAG is plays in generative model play a crucial role in the retrieval and generative services. So they create that context. They retrieve the relevant data to provide the relevant outputs. And that's really what it comes down to and what it's doing. What we want to make sure we're doing is improving response quality. So the models that we build and the generative models that we build, we're going to need to enhance and continue to use these RAG models to continue to train our generative AI models, our generative AI applications to make that, to again get better. Key aspect to artificial intelligence and to machine learning is that it's learning and that it's getting better. So what you are prompting on a website today may not give you the same information next week, or it may give you more expanded information because it's learning. It should, and that's one thing that you'll find when doing prompts. And if you're doing prompts with different Copilot, with Copilot and with ChatGPT, with Genesis, all the same prompt could, if you're using 3 different generative AI tools, is probably going to have 3 different responses to it, just so that you understand that. The aspect of the learning aspect to it all is really going to continue to give you, hopefully, more information, better information as you go through. And so the projects, integrating RAG into your projects is a way to incorporate these mechanisms of retrieval and retrieving information and generating information into your AI workflow, integrating that model and utilizing that model to respond based on real-time data. It wants to, we want to enhance the model responses. We want to make sure that it is accessing the proper information, it's accessing appropriate information, and it is going to continue to learn appropriately as it goes about. Are we going, feed it new information or give it access to new information, new feedback that it's getting from the various data sources that we're pointing it to. That's really what that integration is going to look like. I've talked about, as we've talked about throughout this presentation, the aspect of these AI applications learning and getting better. And this is an important aspect to it. An important aspect to that is the grounding and accuracy of that information. Again, if we are retrieving and retrieving information and generating responses from data, we want to make sure that it's the appropriate data and that data is accurate. And that's one of the, when we get into, again, responsible AI and the ethical use of AI here towards the end of this presentation in a little bit, that is an important aspect to it. And that's where grounding and strategies for accuracy might come into play is telling our application what factual data is, understanding, and giving it a foundational understanding, giving it the data that it needs to ground itself in facts, rather than it going out and just trusting everything that it finds on, in the worldwide web aspect of the internet and all of the data and information that's out there. Because even though there's the joke out there of it's on the internet, it's got to be true. That's a key aspect to grounding that information. What is the truth? What is the truth that we're looking for in the responses that we're presenting based on the questions that were asked? That's how that grounding is going to look like, and the accuracy of that information. Somebody's going to want, if you're on a healthcare page and you're talking to its chat bot, you want it to give a fair, even if it's giving just basic, a basic diagnosis of something, you want it to be accurate. You don't want to tell it, I've got a runny nose and a sore throat, and it tell you you have cancer. That's gonna, it's going to trigger. So that's obviously not an accurate model. It says, you may have a cold. If you add, I'm running a fever, there may, this could be, you could have RSV, or you could have influenza, or you could have COVID. I see, and really, probably a responsible AI chatbot's going to say, I recommend you go see you go see a physician, or I can connect you to a WebMD, a virtual doctor on this website. Those are strategies for accuracy. If it can't answer a question, where does it go from there? What is, how's it going? What's the checks and balance? How's it checking the information for accuracy, and what's the integrity and the level of trust? And trust is a very key aspect to responsible AI. So we want to make sure that we're training our models and we're grounding our models appropriately for that accuracy. That being said, and moving in next then into the ethical development and management of AI and AI projects, principles of responsible AI, and I mentioned that trustworthiness. So some key aspects, and these are the 6 pillars of of responsible AI. Generally, Microsoft. This is in Microsoft's AI 900 course, and really things that are in. And I've seen it in other AI courses when we're talking about ethics and we're talking about responsible AI. And some key ones here is fairness, bias, as I say in a lot of AI talks. We all have some level of bias. We have our own opinions. We're people. People have opinions. We're all individuals. We hopefully are. We're influenced by various different things. We're influenced by where we live, where we were brought up, our parents, our grandparents, the people that we associated with, our churches, our political affiliations, our race, our gender. All are aspects to some level of bias. And bias isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody saying, if this is your religion or this is your race, you're wrong. That's not the case at all. The aspect of fairness is that everybody's opinion matters, and that we should be treating everybody fairly. We talk about, and this is something that my wife is was a first grade teacher for many years, and one of the first things that she taught, and one of the things that we taught our children was the golden rule. The golden rule being treat others the way you expect to be treated. And that is exactly what fairness is. We want to understand that. We want to understand inclusiveness. Some solutions may not work for everyone, but we want to make sure that we have our applications developed properly for hearing impaired or visually impaired or intellectually impaired, or intellectual diversity and things like that are all important aspects of things. Privacy and security and is an important aspect. Protecting private information, making sure that we're not exposing PHI on an AI bot for healthcare, right? Reliability and safety. Autonomous. There's a safety concern for autonomous vehicles, where if it's not built responsibly, it could cause an accident. Those are key things there. The last couple are interesting pieces around responsible AI. And one of the key, when we talk about generative AI and we talk about tools like OpenAI and Genesis, those ones that are getting, that are very, very smart level, very high processing, high learning generative AI tools, is the transparency and accountability of it all. Who's liable for the AI-driven decisions? So there's some challenges around accountability, and then the transparency aspect too. How much of the architecture of that artificial intelligence tool is going to be is something that the developer is comfortable with providing, versus how much of it is intellectual property that if it is provided, they are giving away, the benefit and their revenue stream for that application, right? So that's a big conversation around responsible use of AI that continues to pop up. That transparency aspect. What information is it accessing, and how is it using that information, and how, after it accesses that information, is it using it again or storing that information? Because that's a key part of generative AI. Is once it's used and once it gathers that information, or once it's accessed from, say, a web browser, then it is part of that model. That's a challenging aspect of it. So again, goes down to our own responsibility in data hygiene and segmenting private information from public information so it doesn't get exposed in some of these AI models and these AI tools. Again, fairness. Is it treating everybody equitably without bias and promoting inclusivity? Again, the accountability and the transparency and development are very key aspects and principles to ethical AI and ethical AI deployment. So if you're a developer that's working to create AI applications and use AI tools within your applications, these are kind of, the fairness, the accountability, and the transparency are all things that should be inherent to your process and to your ethical development of all of that. Again, tools for mitigating bias, understanding what the biases might be, is going to help you mitigate those biases, identifying those biases. Bring different people from different areas and different perspectives into the discussion and into the evaluation of your AI application, so that you can identify, oh, this is giving a if this question is asked by a man versus a woman, the answers are different, or the answers are going to be received in a different manner. Mitigating the various mitigations, again, serving all the users. User acceptance testing, just like any application, is of the utmost importance with AI applications, because it's going to identify potential biases, potential strategies, especially when we're talking about things that are we're utilizing prompts, we're getting a response from those prompts. We don't want something that could be construed as insensitive or negative to various religions or cultures to be presented to those people, to that group. And so identifying those biases up front and building various mitigation strategies in terms of bringing more people in. What I always say when developing an application and viewing how that application works, the more people from other perspectives, the better it's going to look and the better it's going to be. Ensuring transparency and accountability, to trust in the AI system, understand, to build that trust and to understand how that architecture works. Typically, at a minimum, what information is it accessing and how it's using that information is a key piece to trust in AI systems. And the accountability, is there a clear person accountable for maintaining those ethical standards, making sure that we're meeting all of the expectations that are necessary in terms of maintain, in terms of building that transparency, building that accountability, and then building that trust. The trust in the use of and how that AI is used is a key aspect to all of that. And just to kind of put a ribbon on ethics and ethical AI, when we are using AI tools and we're using prompt engineering, we all should be thinking to that level and thinking about how we're using and how we're asking it information, how we're using the information that it's generating, how we are looking and reusing that information, and where that information came from. So, if you are creating, say, a document and creating that document using Microsoft Copilot in Word, and it gives you information, it builds that document for you. And what we are responsible for then is to be that checks and balance, to verify that the information is correct. We need to adjust that information to make it our own, especially if it's something that we're publishing. We don't want that information to be construed as some sort of copyright infringement and things like that. And that's one of the things that we, from an ethics perspective, that OpenAI, when a couple years ago when it went public, everybody started using ChatGPT, and we started learning a lot of its capabilities from generating to generate content. It created quite the upheaval in Hollywood in terms of how it might influence the use, how it might be used by for screenwriters and for all of for for creating computer generated extras and things like that. All of the different areas of creating content was really challenged. How do we how do we verify that a painting that was created was physically drawn by somebody versus created by DALL-E in OpenAI? We want to make sure that we are being transparent. Again, even if somebody is creating art through using OpenAI, they should be footnoting that that's how it was created, right? They weren't the artist. They were just the prompt, the person that prompted creating that image. Those are things that that's all part of that aspect of transparency. Life cycle of language model application. So again, we want to when a key aspect to projects and to creating AI applications is to have a proper plan in place, have a proper scope, define those objectives, and understand who's going to be the key stakeholders that are going to be involved in that. And the better we plan up front, the better our application is going to be at the end. And so setting the stage for success is done through effective planning, through effective scope initiation. If we're building in an AI model and we're developing an AI model, are we setting the proper objectives? Are we bringing the right stakeholders in? Again, are we avoiding bias through these stakeholders? Are we outlining a proper scope? And any project has to have a definitive beginning and an end, so we have to have proper timelines. We have to have proper milestones and proper ways that we're building into that life cycle. Development and testing. As we're developing our models, we want to make sure it's very important. And I'm not going to say more important, but it is very important within our AI models to do rigorous testing, to do iterative testing as we go through the deployment phase. Maybe we're going to do stage deployments. We're going to do stage features within our AI application or our application that has AI built into it. The rigorous testing should include not just quality standards, user standards, but also ethical use standards should be tested as part of this as well. Deployment and maintenance and transition to users, user acceptance testing, monitoring performance. I talked about that when we were talking about the infrastructure and the network and how that's going to perform and monitoring that performance. Having some level of continuous integration, continuous deployment aspect to monitor and adjust issues and bugs that might be within the deployment. And how are we implementing updates? What's the strategy? Again, back to kind of continuous integration, continuous deployment. How are we managing and maintaining those level of updates as well to ensure the validity? AI is a constantly evolving, constantly changing, especially when we talk about OpenAI and the generative AI solutions. They're constantly changing. They're constantly evolving. They're constantly bringing new features, increasing levels of processing power and things like that. So how are we building that into our update processes and procedures as well? Went through a lot here in the last 90 minutes or so. We talked a lot about the features. I walked you through the Azure AI Foundry portal. We talked about effective resource management. We talked about also built in there how we create the architecture, how we deploy the various models, as well as how we can do the different things within the Azure AI Foundry portal playground, as well as the Azure Open AI playground to test and to understand the various results that might come out. We then talked about ethical application development and then kind of tied that into project life cycles. So lots of information here. Hopefully it was a helpful. This is a helpful resource to you as you learn more and want to understand more about the Azure AI resources and what you have in terms of Azure within the Azure AI Foundry portal, as well as the Azure Open AI Studio as well. I'm going to open it up now for any questions that may have come about and to get some more feedback around what you might want to know around Azure AI services.
Thank you, Dwayne. That was very informative.
I know everyone is looking forward to the Q&A session, so go ahead and start putting your questions into the questions panel. And while you do that, I would like to give the presentation rights over to Sagnik, our vendor manager, to introduce you to our promotions and webinar-related courses.
So as you can see on my screen, this is the event handout that you all have received. Once again, we thank you all for taking out the time and joining our masterclass today. As part of this handout, you'd see the content section wherein the different sections within the document have been listed here, and everything is hyperlinked. So you can quickly use these links to jump to the specific section of the document. Before we proceed, it's worth mentioning that Netcom Learning, we are the proud winners of the Microsoft Partner of the Year Award for 2 years in a row. So as we say, the legacy continues. In 2022, we were the Partner of the Year worldwide, and in 2023, we were the Partner of the Year for United States. And we are also a Microsoft Cloud Solutions partner. That means that we have capabilities across all the 6 solution areas recognized by Microsoft. A few more things about us. We are in the training industry for over 25 years now, having serviced over 80% of the Fortune 1000 companies, serviced 100 plus US military bases. Overall, we have trained 1 million plus professionals across 36,000 plus unique enterprises, and we enjoy a 96% recommendation rate from our customers. All our trainings on Microsoft are delivered by instructors that are certified and authorized by Microsoft, and our overall instructor pool stands at about 3,200 plus certified professionals. We are your one-stop solution for all your corporate upskilling needs with official training across every major technology and business solution provider. So as we can see over here, we are an authorized training partner for all the industry leaders across Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, CompTIA, PMI, EC Council, and others. Now, within this handout, you would also find this particular page wherein you can find the session recording. You can use the link to access the recording for today's session and revisit the concepts that were covered in today's masterclass. Also, all the participants will be given access to Netcom 365. It is our student portal that includes a lot of features and resources for you to take advantage of to supercharge your skilling journey. All you need to do if you're accessing it and activating it for the first time is set up your password and then you'd be good to go. We highly recommend everyone to explore our learning portal to take full advantage of all your skilling resources. Now let's quickly take a look at some of the latest offers on Microsoft trainings and certifications. First up, we have the Microsoft Quick Start program, which is applicable across the entire portfolio, encompassing Azure, Security, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and Power Platform. It is truly the best-in-class exclusive enterprise discount offering on your end-to-end Microsoft training across the official portfolio. The pricing model is quite simple and straightforward. If you have a team, if either you are a large organization or a small organization, and you have a team to train, across departments or within the same department, we have two options for you depending on your team size. If you are looking to train more than 15 learners, you would be getting a flat discounted pricing of $300 per day per learner. And of course, as the number of days for the particular training increases, the the amount also increases, but you get significant savings on this. If you are having a smaller team, that is 14 learners or less, then you still are entitled to a $400 discounted flat pricing per day per learner. This really accounts to huge savings when it comes to large scale training. So we highly recommend everyone to get in touch with us, explore the offering by clicking on the link provided in this handout. And all your trainings can also be customized based on the specific projects and workloads that you and your team, your organization is working on. And our industry specific subject matter expertise encompasses a wide range of verticals, as you can see over here, from banking and financial services, healthcare, federal and state and local government, to education, energy, manufacturing, retail, consumer goods, and more. Also, you'd find that if you have a team, if you are a big organization or a small organization, having a team that you're looking to train, our 2-hour private group training demo is also a great option for you as the next step. It is free of cost, as we say, you can see over here, and it is customizable as per your needs. So rather than a public delivery, which was the format of today's session, you're going to get a private group training wherein our instructor is going to connect with you, understand your specific requirements, and our learning consultants are going to map out your specific needs and accordingly tailor the skilling plan that makes sense for you and your business. So these training demos are provide a great value because these are customizable. All the trainings are delivered by our top rated trainers, and you get a complimentary skilling plan consultation, allowing you to get clarity on which specific courses are needed to be taken by your team. And in case you are a large organization, you are a multi-shore firm with multiple divisions and your workforce spread across geographies, or you have multiple business units within the same organization, the skilling needs kind of get complicated in those scenarios, right? But how do you manage your training funds in that case? And that's why we have the Learning Passport, which provides a flexible team training package. Basically, you park all your training funds with us for 12 months. And within these 12 months, you get exceptional value on the funds that you invest, right? Up to 100% increase of your fund value is what you can experience with our Learning Passport. And these funds are flexible. That means you can use it to train irrespective of the individual that you want to opt in for. A simple distinction with the Netcom Plus is that it is mapped to the specific learner and it is only valid for that learner. But in Learning Passport, you get that additional flexibility that for one particular course, you can pick one particular learner, and for another, you can use your same training dollars for another course. This is basically giving you unlimited access to our entire authorized training portfolio of 4,000 plus official courses. So we highly recommend you to check this out if you have such skilling requirements, especially keeping in mind that the end of the year is coming, and we are aware that organizations need to finalize their training budgets. If they don't use it, they kind of lose it. So this is an ideal solution for you guys to park your training funds and make sure you get the ultimate value all year round. Now we will take a look at the recommended courses that we have. Over here, you can see the courses that are related to today's topic have been mapped here, divided by fundamentals and role-based. So we highly recommend everyone to click on these links. All of these are hyperlinked pick the item that you want to explore, and you'd be redirected to the official documentation that we have on these particular courses. Also, please note that all the courses that are delivered by Netcom Learning are delivered by subject matter experts. You get additional perks like 180 days access to virtual labs wherever applicable. Also, you get access to 90 days to the class recordings to revisit the concepts. You get full access to our Netcom 365 portal, as well as you can repeat the classes free of cost within a specified duration if you want to revisit or you couldn't attend the first time. We also have a couple of free resources mapped here, like our upcoming free event and a blog. We highly recommend you to explore those as well. With that, I'd like to thank everyone. Do follow us on our social handles, and we hope to see you soon once again on one of our events and classes. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much for guiding us through that information, Sagnik. And now we're going to go ahead and jump right into our question and answer session.
Our first question is, what are some common use cases for Azure AI services such as computer vision, natural language processing, and document intelligence?
Yeah, I hit those somewhat quickly through the presentation, but when we think about what these generally do and what we can do and what we may even use as common use cases on the day-to-day basis that are that really align to some of these services. One of those, when we think about computer vision. Think about how you go into your photos in Apple, your Apple Photos on your iPhone. What Apple generally does is it takes and finds common faces, common people that are in your photos and creates albums out of those photos. And that's really what computer vision is doing in a lot of cases is it's recognizing and putting together those common aspects of, and kind of saying, okay, here is a photo album of all of the pictures of Dwayne in them. And that's, kind of just a general personal use of that computer vision technology. But another aspect of it is how can we recognize if we're putting together an accident or a robbery. Let's say there was a car accident in a neighborhood that was hit and run. Somebody hit a car that was parked on the street, and we're trying to find who it was and find out then what where they might be. And so it can take and what a lot of law enforcement do these days is they'll everybody in a lot of cases, most people have some sort of Ring or Nest camera on their doorbell, or they have something that's looking over their property, and they'll go door to door in that neighborhood right around the area where that accident took place and ask for those files, that activity. And from that activity, they can piece together at this time a car hit this vehicle and identify what kind of car it is and things like that. Now, what computer vision can also do in that aspect is, if it has a good enough resolution and a good enough picture of the license plate, is it can extract that license plate out of there very easily, and maybe a little bit better than we can with our own naked eye. Natural language processing, chatbots are a key aspect of natural language processing, but also other parts of natural language processing is translator apps and understanding, being able to translate English to Spanish, Spanish to English, or text to speech When you're doing a transcript, maybe you're hearing impaired and you go up into YouTube and you watch a YouTube video and you look at the transcript, it's taking that video and it's transcribing that into text for you. And that's kind of a combination, a little bit of some things that computer vision's taking the image and it's extracting information out of that image, where natural language processing is taking like the spoken word or the text-based word and it's presenting it in the opposite direction, or it's changing the language appropriately. Document intelligence is one that I brought up and gave kind of a use case of. We have, is that optical character recognition of, I've got a form, I've got my invoice, or I've got my, my bill of lading for, for shipping, and I need to take that information from that document and put that into a database, based on different fields. And that's what document intelligence is going to do. So it's going to find specific fields, specific types of information like addresses, names, invoice numbers or account numbers, and it's going to then be able to populate that into CRM systems and things of that nature. So those are some common use cases of where computer vision, natural language processing, and document intelligence really works within our day-to-day.
Our second question is, why should I use Azure AI services for integrating AI into my applications?
Yeah, I pointed that out a little bit, but just to kind of go a little bit into that topic is Azure AI services, and one of the key aspects of Azure AI services is it has built within it a very intuitive graphical interface within the Azure AI Foundry portal. So those AI services and the ability to integrate like chat bots or document intelligence on forms, and computer vision to recognize images, and a lot of those workloads are very easy to use within Azure. One, and two is integrating that aspect of intelligence that AI brings to our applications with like chatbots. If we do it right and we test it correctly and use it and have a very key a very key objective for its use within our applications. Like I said, customer service bots are a key use and integration of AI into our web applications. So if we're doing those and utilizing those properly, it makes us more efficient. I've seen a lot of better uses of AI and of chatbots within customer service platforms than they were, 3, 4, or 5 years ago, because people are understanding and developers are understanding that, and AI is understanding and has learned better things around sentiment, understanding when somebody is initiating a customer support request and they're not happy, understanding some of those things, can help our customer service rather than hurt it. And that's a good way to use Azure AI services integrated within our applications.
Our third question is, what does Azure OpenAI provide to users and application developers?
So Azure OpenAI, and when we talk about Azure OpenAI and those services, and we can kind of tie Copilot into that as well. It all goes into that whole generative AI bucket, and that bucket is taking where the computer vision, natural language processing, document intelligence, those AI services are model training and very, it has an input, it gives you an output. What OpenAI does is it provides a creative output to users, and to application developers. So when we think about OpenAI and we think about ChatGPT and we think about, and like I said, Copilot is a subset of that because Copilot's essentially built on Azure AI as a platform. They are creating that creative outlet. It's making us more efficient as users, as application developers, because you can actually start to plan and build code using OpenAI. You, as users, like I said, if you're trying to create a report or a document, you can use OpenAI to create a outline to start setting up what that's going to look like. It's very helpful for writer's block. Would be a good way of that, because and again, if we're using it ethically, we're using it as a starting point. We're using it as a guide that can then take our own creativity to another level, because it gets us started and can help us again to be more effective, be more efficient in our day-to-day lives and work life.
Our last question is, how can we address the ethical challenges that are faced with generative AI?
That's a great question, and one I talk to an awful lot. The aspect of ethical challenges and the ethics of any use of data is a very important one, and understanding the risks, understanding the vulnerability to privacy of data are all intrinsic to any type of application development, but much more so when we talk about generative AI. When we go back to my previous statement on the previous question, is the creative nature of it, and just the way that the algorithm is being used to gather information creates those challenges. And so as the owner of the data, and the data owners and the data custodians and the data users need to be diligent in understanding and how you are prompting ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever it is in giving you information, as well as what information you're sharing with it. And so, like I said, addressing concerns using things like data loss prevention techniques and applications, segmenting public and private information, and proper access control to that information for the AI applications that we're creating is going to be of the utmost importance.
Once again, I want to remind you that as you leave the session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to help us by taking a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience, as we are constantly looking at how we can improve our future sessions. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. We want to thank all of you for joining us today, and if you do come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. We hope that you found today's webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us soon. Feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Have a great day, everyone.